Hey guys, welcome back to Bad Luck Garage. Alright guys, it's been a long work week. Really haven't done much to the truck, so we're going to go out here and use what little bit of daylight we got left and try to get a few things finished. I'm also using my new GoPro Hero 5, so hopefully the footage comes out a little more smooth for you guys, looks a little better. I don't know, this is the first time I'm using it, so we'll just see how it turns out. Alright, so I've had a bunch of comments on my last video, everybody wanting to know, hey, did you fix the boost issues, you know, yada yada. No, I haven't fixed anything, guys. Like I said, it's been a long work week. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to come out here right now. I haven't really made like a boost leak tester per se. I was actually looking over, if you guys ever watch the Hunter Tune channel, I've been talking to Hunter about it. He actually did a video a while back on making a boost leak tester, so I'm probably going to be making one of those soon. For right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over all my couplers, all my clamps, and you know, make sure all that's tightened up. I'm also going to go over my hot side, make sure everything's tightened up there, you know, all the manifold bolts, you know, anywhere where I could have a pressure leak. I'm going to tighten that up right now. And you know, I'm going to see if I can do something about this oil leak too. Now here's the thing with the oil leak, guys. I'm not really sure where it's coming from. Let me just show you. I don't know if you guys can see all that, but you know, I've got like a film of oil all through here. So initially I thought it was just coming from the AN fitting where it screws in. You know, I'm using a cheap drain kit that I got off eBay. The AN fitting actually came with a little rubber O-ring inside of it. I have never used a rubber O-ring with an AN fitting, so I just tried to tighten it down. So that could be where it's, you know, where it's blowing the oil out from. I'm not sure. There's always a possibility too. It could be leaking where the I'm not sure what to call that, where the fitting bolts to the turbo here. But I mean, I really don't see anything there. That's what's really aggravating, guys, is I really cannot see where the oil is coming from. All I know is I've got a film of oil all over my inner fender here. So obviously it's coming from somewhere. So I'm just going to get in here. Like I said, we're going to tighten all our clamps up, you know, on the hot side and the cold side. We're also going to tighten our flanges, everything, and, you know, we'll just kind of go from there. So if you guys follow my Facebook or my Twitter feed, I think that's what it's called, a Twitter feed. I'm not sure. Anyway, you might have seen where my beautiful wife was actually nice enough to get me a set of these Craftsman ratcheting wrenches for Valentine's Day. I've actually been wanting these for a while, but these are going to come in handy right now because there are a lot of these clamps and fittings that are hard to get to with a ratchet, and a pain in the butt to try to get tight with a regular wrench because they're fine threaded. So we're going to break these out right now. Something else I've noticed in my little tuning escapades is that the boost gauge that I have, the Autometer boost gauge, it seems to be reading a little bit off from what my map sensor is actually reading. So, you know, we do have a generic map sensor, so I'm not sure if maybe the map sensor is reading off or if the boost gauge is off. So I was thinking about that, and there's something that I've been needing to check out. Oh, that could be a boost leak right there. My vacuum cap is gone. I don't know if you see that, guys, but you know, it's my evap solenoid. I had a vacuum cap on there with a little hose clamp on it, and it is gone. So quite possibly that has blown off. I'm not sure if these are open and then close when, you know, the voltage is grounded out, or, you know, I really don't know how these work. But if they're normally open, then that could definitely be a source of boost leak right there. Back to what I was saying, guys. When I wired up my boost gauge, what I actually did, since I only had this one nipple over here to work with, I put in a little splitter, and one of those lines goes to my boost gauge. The other line actually goes to right here to my air doors, you know, for the heater, which currently doesn't work anyway, but I was going to try to get it to work. So that's why I did that. But I hope you can see in the camera, you know, I've got it teed off there. At this point, what I'm thinking may be happening is when it goes into boost, I might be bleeding off boost into that vacuum door system in there. I really don't need that hooked up because, like I just said, the heater doesn't really work right now anyway. So I'm just going to disconnect the heater port, and we're going to cap that T off and see if maybe my boost gauge starts reading in line with my map sensor. Because what I've got going on is, you know, when the boost gauge is showing, like, you know, it's only showing like 5 psi. When I check my map sensor and you know, apply the conversion for kPa, you know, to psi, the 5 psi on the gauge is actually closer to 6 or 7 psi according to my map sensor. So the other day when my gauge was only reading, that's why I kept saying in the video where I was turning up the boost, if you guys were watching the boost gauge, it was only hitting like 8 or 9 psi, but I kept saying, oh, that's 10, almost 11, because I was looking at the laptop was telling me that was like 10.5 psi, or what was it, like 175 kPa, something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers now, but I knew it was showing over 10 psi on my laptop, but the boost gauge was only showing 8. So in case you were watching that video and you were one of the people that commented about that, you know, hey, that wasn't 10 psi. Well, it was 10 psi according to the map sensor. Well, if I can get that one on, then it's definitely not going anywhere. Alright, there we go. So we got that on there. This is a potential issue right here. I don't really have any good vacuum caps. But this should work. You can see it's stretching it really good there. So, like I said, I'm not sure if that's an actual vacuum leak slash boost leak, but if it is, hopefully we just took care of it. Alright guys, on and on. Yes, you can see we've still got our nitrous system on here, it's just not hooked up. Now as far as that evap solenoid goes, they make block offs for that. I'd mentioned in a previous video, the only reason that my IET sensor is mounted here, which you guys probably can't see from that angle, but the reason it's mounted in my intake tube and not mounted in the evap spot is because when I was doing this this whole turbo setup originally, I did not know about that little trick of putting the IET sensor in the evap spot. So I thought about ordering one of those billet block offs for that to get rid of, you know, that evap solenoid, but you know, it's only 12 bucks, you know, from LSX Innovations or whatever. But the primary reason I haven't done that is because I'm thinking about, like I just showed you, the nitrous system is still on here, but the nozzle is not plumbed in. That's the only part of it that's not hooked up. And I'm still debating possibly moving my IET sensor back here and then plumbing the nitrous into the hole that I've currently got my IET sensor in. The only problem with that is if I do that, then when it sprays, all that cold nitrous is going to be passing by my IET sensor, and it's going to register as like an extremely cold intake charge. So I don't know, just stuff I've been kicking around in my head, guys. Sorry if I'm rambling. Some guys in a previous video had also asked about my light here. I actually got this light from Harbor Freight. Some of you, if you watch Sloppy Mechanics, you might notice that before he had the Milwaukee light, he had a light similar to this, but it was black and red, and that was also from Harbor Freight. Well, Harbor Freight got rid of those lights, and this is the ones that they're carrying now, the underhood lights. It's made by Braun. Works pretty good, guys. It's got 2 brightness settings. That's the first one, and then that's the second one, and it seems to do pretty good. It seems to last several hours. But what I've noticed is the longer you leave it on, the dimmer it gets. So it'll get kind of dim, and then you can turn it off, turn it back on, and it's fully bright again. It's really weird like that. But this thing's definitely a lifesaver. I love it. Now, addressing this whole oil leak issue, I'm pretty sure it's coming from that AN fitting, but I honestly don't know if it's coming from where it screws in or if the fitting itself is just, garbage. I mean, it is a Chinese fitting. I guess I could take it apart, put the O-ring in that came with it, and put it back together. I'm actually supposed to drive out to Halls, which most of you probably don't know where that's at, but I've got a guy that just did an LS swap on a C10, and I'm supposed to go out there tomorrow and do a street tune on it. And I was hoping to drive SteppinWolf here, but I don't want to drive if it's going to be blowing oil everywhere. The way it is now, I mean, I know it's misting oil a little bit, but it's not really, just dumping it. I mean, it's not left a puddle on the ground or anything like that. And I'm still just like a half a quart low, which is what I've pretty much been the whole time. So I'm not really losing an excessive amount of oil. I almost don't want to mess with it tonight because it's so late, and I don't want to take something apart and then make it worse, and then tomorrow I can't, drive this across town where I'm going. Some other stuff we need to do is, you might remember the dual boost gauge controller video. It's still zip tied here. We have not permanently mounted it yet, so I need to drill some holes and put the bracket on for that. So from our video we did on the upgrading the headlights, I've not finished with my harness there, so I need to tuck all that. I'm probably going to do a video just going through and tying up odds and ends from other videos is most likely what I'm going to do. I mean, when I did the boost controller video, it was just a I was testing it out. We were doing a review and install, so I didn't permanently mount it because if it didn't work correctly, I was going to send it back, and I didn't want to drill holes unnecessarily. So that's why that's zip tied. And then you guys know why this is hanging out if you watch the headlight upgrade video. It's just hanging out because I was showing you guys the easy way to install it, but I need to pull out all my old headlight wiring and put this under the fan shroud where it goes, yada yada yada. So I thought I would show you guys what I was talking about with the O-ring and the AN fitting. So this is one of those cheap Chinese dash 10 AN fittings that came with this drain kit over here. Now it came with these little O-rings, and the O-rings were inside of the AN fitting like this. Alright, now if you guys want to give me some feedback on that, that would be outstanding, because I have never in my life used an O-ring with an AN fitting. So I mean I'm about to take this apart and put the O-ring back in it, because I just took the O-ring out, and see if that stops the leak. But I don't know, guys, you tell me. Anybody out there that's used these these eBay drain kits, these little Chinese drain kits. Do you use these O-rings in your Dash 10 fittings or no? If I can get this off here without too much trouble, I mean, I don't want to have to disassemble every little thing just to do this, but if I can get this off without too much trouble, then we're going to go ahead and put that O-ring in and see if it stops the leak. Okay, so as I was afraid of, I'm going to have to take the downpipe off, take the turbo loose, and kind of lay it over here to get the drain line off. I remember now, I went through all that when I first put it on. I actually attached the drain line to the bottom of the turbo, then mounted the turbo, then attached the drain line to the oil pan, because once it's on here like this, there's no physical way to get a wrench on it. I mean, there's you guys can see this is, I've got it over here pretty tight. I did that for a reason, but unfortunately it makes that drain line completely inaccessible. So as I already said, I don't want to tear that apart tonight because I really want to drive this tomorrow. The guy whose truck I'm going to tune, he's actually been following the channel for a long time. He's been following the build of this truck actually for a few years. So I really want to take it over there and take him for a ride in it, and just show him what it's all about before I tune his truck. So we'll get back to this oil leak at a later point. Like I said, it's kind of misting oil over here, but it's not just dumping oil. There's no puddle. It's not dripping down anywhere. So other than making a little mess over here in the corner, it's really not hurting us at all. I really don't have time to get into all that tonight, so I'm probably just going to save that for another day. The biggest reason is I've got to deal with the wife's Camaro right now. When I first got home from work today, before I ever started messing with SteppinWolf, I actually came in here and started shooting a video on her Camaro. So I need to finish that up. In addition to that, she actually has like a 2-hour trip, taking my son and my youngest daughter to a robotics tournament, like 2 hours away tomorrow, and she's decided she wants to drive the Camaro. So I'd like to check all the fluids and tires and just make sure she's safe. So on that note, I'm actually going to just leave SteppinWolf where it's at right now. Like I said, the oil leak is very minor, so I'm still going to be able to drive it tomorrow. I'm going to come in here, finish the video on the Camaro, which if you're into the Camaro, then you can check that video out probably in the next 2 days or so. This video was primarily just to test this camera out. After reviewing some of the footage, I've already noticed some issues with it as far as the sound goes. I'm just going to have to figure it out, guys. It's a new camera. I've got to get used to it. But I'm going to go ahead, get this video edited up, and get it uploaded for you guys to watch. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, I kind of understand on this one. This was more of a test rambling video than anything else. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out my other videos on the turbo build. There's a whole playlist. Shows everything we did, how we did it so cheap. That's the main thing here. So thanks again for watching. Now get off YouTube, get out in the garage and get something done, and I'll see you next time here on Bad Luck Garage.